huge opportunity week for us. These two teams combined, NC State, Murray State, are I think like 17-2 or something like that. Really, both really good teams. NC State's is deep. Coach has done a terrific job. Kevin's done a great job of rebuilding this roster. And it's interesting if you read about Kevin and his career. He spent some time at Hargrave Military. He's got a great background with Coach Pitino and has had some, just had great success every place he's been. But he kind of equated having guys for a year or sometimes two at Hargrave and being able to put them together quickly. He's done a great job with this group. They're ninth in the nation in scoring, fourth in field goal percentage. They've led at the half every game. The only game they lost was at Wisconsin, where they led for about 30-plus minutes, and so they're good. They're hard to guard. They shoot the three ball well. They get to the rim. They're aggressive defensively. They'll extend and disrupt and turn you over. So it's really good game. It's exactly why we scheduled them and what we want. To be able to go to an ACC team, to go to Tobacco Road, North Carolina, Duke, NC State. Those are historically, some of the great teams in the ACC. And then Murray State on Saturday. Murray State, we again try to find teams that win their league. In the OVC, it's Belmont or Murray. We played Asheville because they won their league, the year before. And so it's teams. Those are the kind of teams that we look for in the non-conference, and so as a result, Saturday's game is going to be a great challenge as well at home before we get on a Christmas break.
You had talked after the exhibition game about kind of maybe some concern about the conditioning of this team, but it really doesn't seem like it's been a problem. Do you feel like they kind of grew into the conditioning as the season went on?
Yeah, I think our conditioning is good. There's a fine line in there. Like, for example, yesterday, we wound up having a little later practice to give us time to kind of prepare for NC State. The kids had Sunday off. And then how hard do you go yesterday? When we play again Wednesday and Saturday, so 3 games in the 7-day period or 8 days, whatever it would be. And do you have contact? Do you hit? Well, we were able to have contact and we were able to hit because we have a few more healthy bodies, whereas earlier in the season, we weren't able to because we just didn't have the depth to be able to do it. I think our conditioning is good. Here's the other balance as a coach. It may seem like a no-brainer, but when you have Jared Harper play 41 or Bryce Brown play 39, Chuma Kuiki play 35 or so, and then you've got some guys playing 7, 12, 15, 20. The team's conditioning is not the same. And so therefore at times in practice, you might give some of the guys that play heavier minutes a little less repetition, and give the guys that don't play as much more, just to sort of balance off the conditioning. So usually your best conditioned player is the guys that play the heavier minutes because they have to be.
And the season's like 2 weeks longer, one at the end, one at the beginning. Is that something you guys have some more off days? I know maybe not this week, but just toward the holidays.
Look, the way they do it is really good. It's they've given us more time in the preseason, which has been great. And as a result, I'm old enough to remember the hard October 15th date. And, I never was big on double sessions, but you had to hurry up and get everything in, and the quality of basketball, the quality of the player development. It's one of the reasons why there was a very long window, let's say 10 years ago, where the Europeans were ahead of us as far as training professional basketball players. And, right now, if there are 60 guys in the 2 rounds in the NBA draft, you might see 15 to 20 foreign kids, maybe. Well, back in the day, you saw half the draft, or 25 kids from overseas. The fact the NCAA's allowed us to work with the kids in the summertime, let us get an earlier start, but not as many days in a row. It's been really good. Now, in season, we're 6 on, 1 off. 6 on, 1 off. And that, as far as the players are concerned.
Bruce, you said this team is better when everyone contributes. Do you want to see more scoring from guys after Bryce and Jared?
It's not so much the scoring, it's the productivity. I don't mind guys going 1 for 2, and I don't mind guys going 2 for 4, and I don't mind guys going 3 for 5. It's when you get where you're not shooting a great percentage coming off the bench, or your assist turnover ratio isn't positive, or the defense isn't. You're breaking us down defensively. So when I talk about contribution, I'm not just talking about scoring. That's a great question, but no, I'm talking about guys don't need to score to play well. They think they need to score to stay out there sometimes, and they don't. They rebound, defend, and we keep plus-minus charts, and that's what happens to us when you're on the floor. And if you're playing good defense and we're not turning the basketball over, their plus-minus numbers are pretty good. They don't need to be scoring when they're out there to stay out there. They score, great. So that's not what I mean. I mean contribution in more than just a scoring column. Question.
Do you feel good about? Do you feel good about the way the guys after Jared and Bryce have done that recently?
Yeah, I mean it's mixed results. I think the other thing that happens is when you play better opponents, everybody's challenged. Like, for example, NC State's got a couple of terrific players, but they don't have any bad players. They don't have anybody you can help off of. They don't have any, well, this guy can't do that, so we can pressure him, and or you can really come off him and give help. That's the challenge when you play against a better team. As a result, everybody's going to be guarded by a pretty good player. So therefore, when you play the best teams on your schedule, usually your best players need to play well to win because everybody's challenged.
Is this one of those games that you like to represent the SEC against?
Well, I mean, look, if you look at the road wins in the league, there aren't that many great road wins in the league. Some great neutral site wins, and so this is a real opportunity for us if we could take advantage of it. Now it'll be we'll have to play our best game. I would say that I think Duke's the best opponent we've played. No criticism of anybody else, but I think NC State is probably next, and Murray would be close behind them. So, but that's why I sat down here and said what a great opportunity this week is.
Talking to your team, you're trying to say that was a game they needed at UAB. When you look back on it, how much can that be beneficial for this team?
Well, it was a great win, and obviously we demonstrated some real resiliency. I thought we played great defense in the first half, and our offense was much better in the second half, but our defense wasn't as good. So we weren't able to put two halves together on both sides of the ball. But obviously looking back on it, UAB played great. They played really hard. They made 9 threes. They averaged making 5, and I'd say that 4 or 5 of them were end of the shot clock, really tough, contested, hand-your-face shots that they made. And those are typically, when you make those shots, those are typically games that you win or pull off those big upsets, and we were able to withstand it. So, no, it was a great win, and obviously a great environment, and something that we worked really hard to develop. But that was, to play that game in Birmingham and in that environment was really good.
How important is it over the next 3 weeks to sort of establish that 10-man rotation and get comfortable with how you're going to work your money in? I think it's always going to be a work in progress, and here's why. I think the rotations actually could be dictated a little bit by the matchups. That's typically not the way I've operated. The reason why I'm operating that way is because of our personnel. Like, for example, Horace, against a bigger, stronger, more physical team, needs to be on the floor. And so when we play a team that has, say, 4 guards and 1 big, well then he may not be on the floor as much in that game, and it's no fault of his own as much as it would be partly the matchup. So I think you'll still see fluctuation throughout the year, and a lot of that will be based on the opponent. That makes sense. So I don't, yeah, certainly we want to get more comfortable with it. But I think it evolves. It evolves throughout the year. I've always been pretty consistent with my starting lineups and things like that. I'd like to try to be consistent with the minutes. I think that playing time is something that's earned over a long period of time. Playing time's earned when I get the report cards in a few days. Playing time's earned based on how I know how hard the guys have been in the gym, who's worked hardest in the weight room, who's coming in for extra shots. I have the statistical analytics. I've got my own feel and pulse about who's playing and what that's all about. But I like the players to be able to feel like they've earned what they're going to get, and that if they're not getting as much as they want, that's because somebody else has put themselves in a position to get more than they're getting. And it's not just basically if you make a shot or how hot you're playing, because I don't want the guys going out there feel like I've got to play better to stay in the game. That's not a good place to be.
And just generally, how did D'Angelo do his first time playing? Just not necessarily just the scoring, but everything you asked him.
It was a lot just to be able to come back into that situation, to come in the first game and be in a one-possession game and back and forth like it was, and I thought he handled it. I thought he handled it fine. And we didn't get him in the rotation in the second half, and he probably should have gotten one rotation. I knew I was going to play him one in the first half. He actually played two because we got in a little foul trouble at the 3 spot. Thanks.